Welcome to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show with Stan DeFreitas, the dad, and James DeFreitas, the son. For the next hour, call in with your questions in gardening, growing your favorite veggies, and growing your profits in real estate. Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And a big good morning to you as we start off another edition of the Ask Mr. Greenthumb Gardening and Real Estate Show. I am Stan the Dad, and you are?
And I'm James DeFreitas the Son, and we are here for the next 2 hours. So from 7 to 9, I know a lot of folks out there have called in before, and they've said, hey, what time do you guys start? Well, we start bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 7 a.m., 7 to 9 a.m., at least for the next 2 weeks.
Eastern Standard Time.
That's right. So we'll be here. Eventually, in the next 2 weeks, we'll be just going to the 8 to 9 hour. We'll give some. We'll start telling people that now, so that they'll know.
Well, we just we'll get more traffic that way.
That's right.
We will say that we've got a number. If you want to give us a call, 1-877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860. We're in, 7 counties? And, of course, on the World Wide Web. We know there are a lot of folks out there on Facebook Live. We say hello. We also are on YouTube. And so there are a number of different ways that you can get us. Now, you look dapper with your Remax Metro shirt on.
Always representing.
And the colors. Next weekend, next Saturday, we have an auction. And we want you to come by. If you've never been to an auction, I bet many of you have. And if you have, we're going to be doing an auction on a home. And what's the address? It is in Crescent Oaks.
Yeah, the actual address, now that I have it handy up here, now that you didn't put me on the spot. No, I actually did put me on the spot. But anyway, the actual address is 3886 Crescent Cove Place. That's 3886 Crescent Cove Place, Tarpon Springs, Florida, 34688. And that'll be taking place on September the 12th. We'll do the auction at 1 p.m. sharp. If there's inclement weather, if there's rain, if it's not safe to hold outdoors, we might even keep it indoors anyway, because yesterday it was 93 degrees outside, and we're going to have people, sweltering heat, and to me it might make it more enjoyable just to have it indoors. That doesn't mean that we won't make it safe, though. We'll still keep people 6 feet apart. We'll hand out masks. We'll hand out gloves. We'll have a gallon of hand sanitizer. We will make it safe.
And Pam's having an open house today there.
She is. So if you want to go out today from 1 to 3 p.m. at 3886 Crescent Cove Place, Tarpon Springs, Florida, go out, see Pam, look around the property, say howdy to her. Say you're an experienced agent, Pam will understand. Just tell her, hey, look, I'm just going to show the place myself. She will be happy to allow you to just do that. So, I know she knows she won't step on any toes, and she'll let you be able to do your job, and all will be right with the world.
And it's one of those properties, too, that I think, it's priced right for the money. It's going to be it could be a good investment for just about anybody. And, there's a few little things that I would do to the home if I were taking the home on, but that's up to each individual has a different idea. And that's one of the things we sometimes tell folks, why put this in or that in when the next person's going to go, I'll take that out and do something different. I find that all the time with paint. Somebody will come in and go, I'll put in a blue kitchen. Well, maybe not. Maybe they want white or tan or something else. So, often, pre-assuming what someone else is going to want.
Oh, sure. And then I've seen people spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on a kitchen.
Right.
And then the next person will come in and they'll rip all of it out because, I really didn't, that black granite, I would never have put that black granite in there. I wanted some kind of white granite, and or I wanted quartz, or I wanted this, or I like a butcher block. The one thing I will say, since we are discussing countertops, it is my opinion, and only my opinion, but my thoughts to that is, yes, granite looks nice, the hardstone looks nice, all of that is great, except for it's not that great for the environment. These beautiful granite mountains in Italy are literally being destroyed for the beauty of your kitchen. I would suggest some kind of man-made material. I would suggest, heck, I would tile a kitchen before I would want to spend the kind of money that you're going to spend versus the amount of money to me, in this show, we're always kind of pushing being good environmental stewards. When you see, I was watching, again, because the only traveling we can do now outside of the U.S. is via the Travel Channel. So I was watching this show the other day, and they were showing these mountains that look pretty good from the front, but then they were showing the amount of the operation in the back. And you got these little skinny mountains where they're slicing up the backside of the mountain, and it's like, what's holding that up? They've sliced the mountain so thin on the backside, you're wondering when they're going to tilt backwards.
Like a Hollywood prop, huh?
Yeah, it looks like a Hollywood prop. And it's because it's become so popular to do that. And once you see that, you can't unsee it.
Right. I must say, granite looks awfully nice in a kitchen.
It does. It looks awfully nice in a kitchen. But I would. There are more sustainable choices. There's still the Korean products, and then they've made some advances. Even people that do the one of the popular choices is a butcher block. They take a big block of wood. And again, a lot of this stuff is harvested from sustainable practices. So, and again, if it looks bad 10 years down the road, it's wood. You can sand it down, refinish it, and call it good.
Of course, it reminds me of my father-in-law who used to go, "You can't beat linoleum."
Yeah, or rather, in linoleum, you mean Formica.
Or Formica. He loved Formica.
Yeah.
Formica.
Yeah.
And way like linoleum, too, I think.
Be weird to have linoleum.
I think linoleum he had
countertops.
for a floor somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, check out my linoleum countertop.
Well, knowing Al, God rest his soul, I could picture him somehow going, "I got a good deal on this," and I had him cut it and I hammered it in myself.
Yeah, but if anybody is interested today, like we said about the 3886 Crescent Cove Place, it's going to. This property is going to go. If it doesn't go in a pre-auction offer scenario, it will go at auction. There's just too much interest involved in this property. 6 bedrooms. There is nothing in Crescent Oaks that you can buy that has that's going to go for this price for this amount of square footage. Now, there's some other properties in there that are selling for less. But as I would point out to one of the agents that contacted you recently, who was, there's one in there that's $525,000. Well, yeah, it's only 1,000 square feet less. Okay, so if we're going to make a comparison, apples to apples,
and bedrooms less too.
Yeah, and again, I absolutely love experienced agents, but let me just also say we're experienced agents too. We're pretty good at going, hey, 1,000 square feet's 1,000 square feet less, and a 4-bedroom is not the same as a 6-bedroom, and there's little small differences like that when you subtract those.
I brought those up actually.
You're right, right. Well, I'm just pointing it out as another chip here to let people know that we are aware of what it is and what it isn't, and you have to have like comparisons in real estate. They have to be close or similar properties, and in this case, the property is way underpriced in terms of where it's going to start at. And that's done by design. So, again, we know this is a good deal, and anybody that comes out and sees it is going to know it's a good deal. And you get a large family, or maybe you have some mobility-challenged children or mobility-challenged adults. You can navigate this place really well because it was designed with the idea of being very accessible. Everywhere you go, everything is oversized. So that is a feature you're not going to find in every house. So
maybe you're not going to pack up Grandma and Grandpa and put them in the restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Grandma, you could bring Grandma with you. If she's a little rascal in her little rascal, I don't know if they still make that scooter, but that's I
think so.
But anyway, she could navigate this place. You wouldn't have to do any alterations to the structure whatsoever. It's ready to go, and from room to room, everything, and it's seamless. It's not like you would walk into the place and go, oh man, it's this seems weird. Well, it feels natural because when you have a design that's designed with that in mind, the builders can take that into account so that you don't even notice it. It just feels normal.
Which is the way it should be. I was just thinking, when I was a child, most of the time older folks stayed with the kids and your grandkids worked till almost to the end, and then maybe to a nursing facility. It's not like today where everybody seems to go, hey, you're 45, you're time for me to put you away. It just seems different. That's a difference that occurred somehow, and now, of course, I'm amazed with the cost of some of the things. I mean, $18,000, $20,000 a month is not unheard of to have a facility if you want, a certain level.
Sure.
And even for people who have money, I could see how that would dwindle. I think the last I heard, within a year or two, you could go through $1 million if you are not
significantly wealthy. Yeah.
I mean, and I think most people think, oh, I'm a millionaire.
Well, I mean, and let's be fair. I mean, I'm not trying to denigrate the cost of nursing homes, but it's a scam.
Well, there's money.
Well, it's a scam.
All right. Now, you're probably going to have nursing home people will be calling James later going, hey.
Anytime you charge $10,000 a month for something, you're getting into an excessive amount of what it should cost, even with a doctor and nursing staff and all of that. It's too much. I mean, I can run the numbers in my brain. I can look at the beds and the patients and everything in there, and I can make a pretty good determination that, hey, you're not only just taking care of those people, but you're also you're in it to make a profit in a way that is above and beyond the cost of doing business. So, I mean, and again, I'm not against profit. I'm okay with it. I just, let's be honest about it, And then there is this, then there's also what I would call Jeff Bezos' profit. There's obscene profit. So, again, I digress. I won't go too much into that because I think some people would find me anti-capitalist on that thought process. Although I'm not. So, I'm okay with a certain amount of capitalism, but it is kind of weird when the stocks go up or down and a guy's worth $9 billion more one day or the next. That seems kind of weird to me. But, I don't know. I just don't play in that hemisphere. So... And we will be back. We're going to go pay some bills, but we'll be here for you. If you have any questions for us, it's 813-289-1860. If you have gardening questions, Stan is here for that. If you have any real estate questions, I'm here for that.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial problems with flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
We're here, of course, to help you with any real estate or gardening that may come up. I can say right now, I know I've been taking moringa, which is from a tree. It's an African tree. It has more protein than meat per ounce. It has more calcium than milk. It has vitamins galore. So there are many ways that it can work.
Yeah, and one of the things I would say, too, that I was going to ask, and again, not to stump the gardening man, but I was reading, as I'm wont to do, on the internet the other day, and I was trying to get some information with regards to things that I just think are interesting. And I came up with some horticultural facts. So I thought what I would do is read some of them to you, and then you can tell me what you think in relation to them. And
I opine, sure.
You can give your opinion as to whether or not, Mr. Google was giving the truth. So one of the first things on my list, it says banana plants, are large herbs distantly related to ginger. They are considered an herb because they never form woody stems the way trees do. The pseudostems begin as a small shoot from the underground rhizome called a corm. It grows upward as a single stalk with a tight spiral of leaf sheaths wrapped around it. Banana leaves are simply extensions of the sheaths. Any issues with that statement?
No, I think all of that is horticulturally correct, and the banana never does really form a trunk, so it is just kind of a herbaceous perennial that continues. And, of course, it does get, if we get a hard freeze, it gets frozen back, but almost always it'll come back from that base. Right now I've got a couple of them coming along. I have a Rajapur, which is a Indian banana.
The sweet banana.
It's a real sweet banana, and I like it.
Super sweet.
Super sweet. Got it from one of my friends, John Erb, who was big a few years ago into bananas and papayas. Actually, My neighbor is growing a papaya from a seed that fell from mine now. So I think that's kind of ironic that, I should grow some papayas again, and because they're good for you. They have papain, but which is can be used like a meat tenderizer if you wanted. You could take the leaf, put a piece of meat into it, and beat on it, and it would act as a meat tenderizer.
So it's better than Adolph's meat tenderizer.
Well, it's very similar. Same ingredient, just you're buying one or you're getting a leaf.
Aha, one seems more natural to me.
But also the idea of the banana. I had a friend of mine who was married to a girl from Thailand, and they take the tail part off and can make like a candy out of it. Mm-hmm. And she also took the leaves, took some leaves, and within a few moments she had weaved this beautiful basket. And I kept thinking, we as typical Americans don't use everything as we could. And in other parts of the world, other people go, we see this. We see there's, another 100 uses for something. And I often wonder we should look at what other people do around the world, because they take things and they don't have the plastic bags. Well, I guess they probably do now. We probably do. Yeah. We probably helped on that. But there's other ways they can do other things.
Yeah, and, I think a lot of the when people get creative like that, it's because there isn't, the ready-made version of something like that. So you either figure out a way to make that happen or you do without. And so that's why a lot of this stuff, I just look at it as, okay, well, you have to make something happen. So another one on my list, which I think is interesting, because it's kind of dispelling some myths. It says Spanish moss is not a moss. It's actually a bromeliad.
It's a tillandsia.
It says the same as a succulent houseplant and a pineapple.
Yeah, and pineapple's also in that bromeliad family.
And to make matters worse, it says, guess what? It's not actually from Spain either.
Yeah.
It is native to Mexico, South America, and the Caribbean. French explorers in the United States were reminded of Spanish conquistadors' long beards, and they sold the moss and gave the name Spanish moss.
Isn't that funny?
So now you know the rest of the story.
And it used to be using bedding, too. It was they would boil it, dry it, and then use it when they didn't have your air mattresses and your water mattresses and all the other things. Back in the old days, it was used.
What would we do without Amazon?
I was going to say, well, he needs to make that extra $9 billion with the money increase.
Yeah.
There's amazing to me how over time people have made things and used things, and Spanish moss was used that way. People sometimes worry about insects that could be in there. It's the reason
if you're boiling it.
You're boiling it. You kind of got rid of some of the problem.
Now you just got dead bugs in your moss.
Yeah, kind of like you wouldn't want to know what's in some of the foods that we eat either. There's probably some.
I just hope they boil the heck out of most of the stuff I order.
And they probably do.
Yeah.
They do that. So there are millions of things. I was also going to go back to the banana for a change. Fertilize that banana heavily. They're heavy feeders. That system, if you want to put out your, I save my coffee grounds and banana peels and carrots and all that stuff gets recycled into the ground.
Wow, you're like an earth mother.
Yeah, and I believe in that part of it. I mean, I don't always agree with everything everyone does, but I take the things that I think are good and use them. The same thing with the moringa tree. Mm-hmm. Our friend, gave me a little start of the moringa tree, and it's great. I think it's a great happening.
Absolutely. So I guess with the chime of the music, you know that we're going to go pay some bills, but we will be here. If you have any gardening questions or real estate questions, we will be here for you. Give us a call, 813-289-1860, and toll free
1-877-969-8600. That'll put you on the air with us here on the Ask Mr. Greenthumb Gardening and Real Estate Show.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com. Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at askmrgreenthumb.com. Got questions on gardening, real estate, or both? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And a big good morning as we are still here and we are with you. We're going to go to George, and George has, I think, some bougainvillea plants. Good morning, George.
Hey, good morning. First off, I love your show. I recently purchased my home about 4 years ago. I just turned 40, and prior, I was never really interested in horticulture or anything, but now I just think it's the most fascinating thing. So thank you guys for being on the air.
We appreciate that.
And, yeah, and this is pretty cool stuff from what I've come to learn. But my question today is mainly on the bougainvillea. So, I've done a little bit of research, and I don't think I'm doing it right. So I bought a bougainvillea for my wife for Mother's Day a few years ago. It's probably about 5 years old, and it's very thorny. It doesn't really produce a lot of flower, and I just get the feeling that I'm doing something wrong. And you may have covered it in the past, but I might have caught the tail end of it. So do you have any suggestions, in how I can make this thing bloom? And I think also there's some things that make it less thorny.
Well, less thorny is tough, but a couple of things, George. I was going to say, first, I commend you to be a 40-year-old and buying your home. I think that's smart. I think as soon as a young person, and I consider you a young person, 40, gets into a home, that is just a great thing to do because, when you're paying rent somewhere, it's like taking your money and burning it up. So I commend you there first from the real estate part of our show. From the horticulture part of the show, bougainvilleas are beautiful, but remember, they like it hot, they like it sunny. They're their origins would be from Mexico. So when you think about an origin of a plant that likes it hot, likes it sunny, and they do, they probably will do better with a bloomer type fertilizer, which is usually going to be low in the first number, in like a 5-10-10 or 2-10-10, higher in your second and third number, which is phosphorus and potassium, and it's always going to be N, P, and K, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And we don't have to make you become a fertilizer expert, but it is kind of a basic thing that people ought to probably know when they're growing plants around their home. And you kind of remind me of my son. When he was young and as a teenager, he would say, I don't give two hoots about plants. Don't care, don't care, don't care. Then he called me, he got his first little townhouse, and he goes, what do you think about planting this there? All of a sudden, it was his townhouse, his plants, and all of a sudden, Dad wasn't the biggest idiot in the world. I was somebody who was a resource.
I love plants.
Now, he planted a bunch of bougainvillea around his place, and I told him, I said, the only problem I have, I said, is they are thorny. I said, and he goes, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. I said, well, it's going to matter when you're trimming them. Yeah. When it draws blood better than phlebotomist.
You can't even trim these things. I mean, I'll put on like a pair of under gloves and then some over gloves, and then just for fun, I put on some welding mitts, and then I'm going, and then I'm out there and I'm trimming away, and I'm like, ow. It got me. It still got me. And actually, I don't even call it a bougainvillea. I call it a burglar bush because it's my version of ADT. If somebody gets into my house and they're not wanted, they're going right into the burglar bush. I'm telling you right now, that's my philosophy of how to deal with unwanted visitors.
Well, if you put that bougainvillea underneath your windows, no one's climbing through it to get to your window. Hardly. They'll be knocking on the front door.
Well, we actually got that for my little girl's window for her bedroom. We transplanted it somewhere else because it was too shady. It wasn't working, but that's why we originally got it.
Smart. Well, I mean, it's a burglar plant, and it's I'll keep my daughter safe plant because they're not coming through that window. I mean, your daughter will go, Daddy, there's somebody out there and he's bleeding. And so I will say that full sun is best. And you're right. A lot of times folks will say, there's that dark corner over there in the yard I'd like to brighten up. Well, that's probably not going to work well with the bougainvillea because it wants that bright sun. It wants that oomph. It wants that hot Mexican summer, and it does well. I mean, that's where they're going to flower. But I also say trimming. If you've got it in a spot where you have to trim it all the time, you're constantly putting a plant into. Most plants either have a vegetative growth cycle or a flowering cycle. And the more you stick it into that vegetative growth cycle by trimming it all the time, it goes, well, okay, really, of course, in bougainvillea, the flower is a little kind of inconspicuous white. It's the modified leaf.
Yeah, which you say is not a flower.
It's a bract.
Just
like a poinsettia.
So it's more like a leaf than it is an actual flower.
And it is, yeah. It's a modified leaf. It's a bract that colors up. And that's the reason it lasts so long. Because in most little flowers, I mean, like a hibiscus, there one day, gone in the next day, maybe two if you're lucky.
Sure.
But with modified leaves that change, they can hold that color for a good long time.
Yeah, and one of the things too, one of the things I did, George, and again, feel free to do whatever you'd like, but and because you never know when you're going to get that modified leaf to come out and look pretty. I thought it'd be fun to take another really competing type of plant, and I just threw some seeds out there. I intermixed it into my bougainvillea, and I got some morning glory seeds.
Morning glory, okay.
Yeah, and my wife loves them because it pops out with a nice, beautiful purpley blue flower, and those can close and then come back open. Right? I mean, I think I've seen that happen before.
Yeah, they're kind of like hibiscus. They'll open up and close.
Yeah, so they it's kind of nice. Sometimes you'll get but again, it's also to me, I think some people would go, "Oh, that's a really aggressive vine plant," and it is kind of aggressive. But again, if you're putting two things together, let's just put it this way: the bougainvillea is still winning.
We can get a lawyer to sponsor us. We can say, "Hey, we've got the aggressive and tenacious plants."
Aggressive, tenacious plants. That's right. I can think of a couple of lawyers that use that slogan.
But
okay, so you said the fertilizer in the beginning. You said, and I just got my pencil here. You said a 10-10.
Yeah, or maybe like a 2-10-10 or 5-10-10. Lower first number, higher second and third number, because those would be considered normally. They may even be called bloomers. And sometimes I look for bloomers. I mean, like rose fertilizers. I sometimes will buy a rose fertilizer because rose fertilizer people are usually pretty picky. They want all those trace elements in there. And, if you just get something that just has N, P, and K, then I have to look at the sourcing of how it was derived. But also I would say if you do plant one and you add like some black cow into the soil, it helps to hold the fertilizer. I don't look at black cow as a fertilizer, but I look at it as like a sponge to help hold some moisture and help hold some of the nutrients. Yeah,
but wouldn't you say down here it kind of almost like a fertilizer, given that our soil is so nutrient depleted? It almost kind of has that.
Well, it is a fertilizer. Yeah. It's just it's a low percentage fertilizer. Yeah. But what I like about it is, and it does, I mean, I've had areas where you say have an area in grass where nothing grows. It's that, Death Valley little spot.
Right.
Put a bag of black cow and rake it into that area, and all those little micronutrients and all the little good bacteria get going, and all of a sudden that area that was Death Valley, the grass will start to look much better. Mm-hmm. And everybody seems to have a spot like that.
Yeah, I know I do.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Oh, that's awesome, gentlemen. Well, listen, I really appreciate you guys taking my call on this. And I'm going to go ahead and take care of that today, and I'll give you guys a call back and let you know how it went.
Yeah, and maybe take some photos and send it to us on Facebook. We'd love to share your story.
We'll put it on our Facebook Live and our YouTube.
Yeah.
You guys are the best. Hey, well, thank you again, gentlemen, for taking the time. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I love your show. I got a couple of my buddies, too, who, my age, and we're all, kind of just bought our houses a few years ago, and like your son, we back in, when I was a teenager, I used to, have my dad, and I was like, what is that? This is ridiculous. This is, I'm not into that. But now, man, I'm out here picking and pruning and.
Oh yeah, it becomes a labor of love that you never expected it to happen, but then when it's your house and then something's growing. I mean, what I found is I hated to have something growing in my yard and not know what it was. And it just became kind of and especially today, where information and everything is at our fingertips, I find it, it's that much more irritating to not know what something is when you have the capabilities of finding it so quickly. So, but it's a lot of fun, and just anytime you can add to the beauty of our world, why not?
And tell your wife that the perfect Christmas gift is Stan DeFreitas' Complete Guide to Florida Gardening, a book that I will shamelessly plug, that I have sold probably 500,000 copies, partly because everybody here is from somewhere else.
Right. Yeah, what was that book again?
It's called Stan DeFreitas' Complete Guide to Florida Gardening. It's in all the major bookstores, or you can order it right from Stan DeFreitas, which is me. And
just walk right into your B. Daltons, huh?
Well, yeah, used to be B. Daltons. I remember I was so proud of B. Daltons at Clearwater Mall when they had like the whole window of my book was in their window, because they knew I was local, and I would come by and sign them for them. But I went by there and took a picture of the window because I was, look at that. They've got my book. And they had the whole big display covering their whole little window.
It's kind of sad. All of these bookstores have become like Dollar Generals. I mean, our society has replaced bookstores with...
Now you go to Amazon.
Now it's all Amazon. Thank you, Jeff Bezos.
Well... he made a better mousetrap, and you get rewarded in this world when you see what people need and then fill that need.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I'm not taking away from capitalism. I just would like to see. I hate to see bookstores totally go away, because that's something that I enjoyed as a kid, going in and grabbing a book, looking at it, And to me, it starts that early. You get the kids interested in the concept of grabbing a physical book instead of. Today it's iPad City, and let me just grab the pad. But there's something special about a book that you just don't get with a pad.
Yep, I agree. I love holding a book in my lap. Yep.
Yeah, we did that with my boy as well. My son, I just got him interested in reading. I don't know for some of your listeners if they got young readers, but it's called Captain. What's it called? What is it? Captain Underpants.
Captain Underpants. Well,
that's not Square Bob.
That's sounding like one of Stan's alias names from the '60s.
Yeah, it's like a comic book, but he loves it. He can't put it down.
He can't put it down. Oh, that's fantastic.
I said, son. Yeah, he said, son, you can play your Nintendo now. He said, okay, Dad, let me finish reading this.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's awesome, George.
You're doing a great job, George. We commend you and a pat on the back for being a good dad.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Hey, definitely give us a call, man. Keep calling us. We want to know more about your bougainvillea and all of your plant stories. We are here for you, sir.
Great call, George, and we want to make sure that other folks know you can call in just like George did, 1-877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com. Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial problems with flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And we're here to help answer your questions on trees and shrubs and lawns and the like. We had a question, I think, that came in from Jan Porter, who you all know her husband, Paul, who is Paul Pipes Porter, who, gosh, I've known in radio for, ever since I started. So that's about 40 years. Long time. Jan also is quite a talent in her own right. I might say she had a question about how much can you trim trees, especially oaks, to get more light in. And that's always kind of that gray area. Normally a good certified arborist, and I just looked at some trees the other day in Tampa, and I will say that you want to be able to take a branch back to usually a main branch or to a leader off of a branch. And sometimes you need to do that. In fact, I just looked at some the other day in Safety Harbor, too, where, I think I would advise taking off the branches that were going up over a home, the neighbor's home, and also branches that might go out over a play area where kids would be. So we might say, and we got Roger Bansmer, too. We tell Roger he can call in on our line, and we'll put him on there as well. One of the finest artists in Tampa, and not just Tampa Bay, in the country, really. I know he did. But, Jan, I would say you probably needed an arborist to look at the tree, decide, where to trim to, and they'll know. There are logical spots to trim back to. And that's sometimes the biggest difference between that and someone who, you hire the guy down the road and you go, gosh, he was cheap, a lot cheaper in his station wagon. But I knew of a story where this kid, he was in station wagon, dropped the tree on the house and ran for his station wagon and took off. And you're going, hello, warranty, insurance. And, of course, it wasn't there. And so, a bargain isn't a bargain if they drop it on your house and they run like crazy. So you want to make sure you get a good tree service. And, of course, we've worked with Utsi. I've worked with Pinellas. I've worked with Stafford. I've worked with a bunch of the leaders in Tampa Bay, and we're there to try to help you. So tell Roger he wants to call in. We can have him on for a few minutes because he's quite the artist. Might also add that Roger, if you want to know the number, it's 1-877-969-8600, or, well, you can call in. You probably can call in the local number if you wanted to, 813-289-1860.
Yeah. So anyway, back to our my little list here that I had come up with. And again, this one's a little more obvious, but I think it's still interesting for those that hadn't thought about it, and some haven't. It says the average strawberry has about 200 seeds. And what makes this fruit very unique is that it bears its seeds on the outside. So we all kind of know that.
Yep.
But they're so small we don't really think about it too much. So that's kind of interesting. I didn't know there was 200 seeds in each strawberry, though. That's kind of amazing.
They're kind of tiny.
Yeah, so that kind of brings me to a question about that is how do they propagate said seeds? They just scrape them off?
They do. They scrape them off and put them into a medium, and we'll have to get our Dr. Chandler on sometime.
Yeah, actually, he would be a wonderful guest to have sometime, especially with relations to strawberries.
Dr. Craig Chandler, who's been a friend of mine since 5th grade.
Yeah.
And North Shore School.
Here's a word of the day that makes me, when I think of him, hybridizer.
He's a hybridizer.
Hybridizer. Say that 5 times fast.
Hybridizer. He came up with new varieties of strawberries and did a lot of work for the Plant City, the good folk here. I mean, it's one of the things you think of when you think of Tampa Bay. When you think of Plant City, I think of strawberries. And, of course, he did a great job. As I say, he and I, he's not in the area anymore, but I used to love to get out.
His heart and soul will always belong to here.
Well, and his talented daughter lives in Tampa.
Yeah. Who runs
at least one of them.
Yeah, and she runs a media company, too.
She does, yeah. If you need some promoing of ideas, she comes up with all kind of concepts. Yeah, very talented.
Should probably have her on, too.
We should, yeah. We ought to let her call in. I'll say, Julie, you need to call in sometime because we will let you promo your talent because we know you're just that talented in many respects. All
right. So that brings me to my next interesting factoid. It says, did you know that an apple is 25% air, and this is precisely why it floats in water?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So when you go to the grocery store, if you ask for 100% of an apple, they can never give you one because the apple itself is 25% air. So you're buying 25% air when you buy an apple.
Does that mean I can go up to the counter and say, here's 75% of the cost?
I would think that, in my mind, that would make sense. Economically, it would make sense. But, yeah, I think they're going to still charge you for the whole apple, even though you're buying 25% nothing. So there you go.
But it's there, and if it floats, apples are tasty and they're healthy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Although you'll never see an apple ever grown down here, we just don't get cold, right?
I wouldn't say never. We grow the Anna and the Ein Shamir, both Israeli apples, can grow here. Okay. And Golden Dorset can grow here.
See, and I randomly throw out facts and figures that are not exactly accurate so that I can get corrected by Mr. GT.
You can grow them here. Yeah. Are we in great apple country? I don't think Washington State is going to hold shaking in their boots that Florida is going to take them.
Because I think of the apple tree a lot like I think about grapes for Florida. It's not that we can't do grapes, but we're never going to be Napa Valley.
No, but we can grow some big grapes. We grow some of those
muscadine
types.
Yeah.
I mean, a bit chewy and seedy, but there's polyphenols and stuff in those seeds.
Chewy and woody. Boy, that's just what you want in a grape, isn't it?
You know, if you want to be healthy,
chewy and seedy, folks. Yeah, I mean if that doesn't just say, "Let me grow that." Yeah, yum.
Some of them are quite good. Some of them are large varieties. I mean, you can get some nice big fruit. I did grow some grapes once and had some pretty good success. Then I had my house tented, and it seemed to they were too close to where the tent was, and they were, not only did the termites go, of course, the termites came back pretty quickly. I'm not sure the termites came back quicker than the grapes did.
Sure.
In fact, the grapes didn't come back. They died 100%.
And just following up, and I don't even know if you have time to address it, but Jan's other question is what about laws pertaining to oak trees if you wanted to get rid of one? You might have to answer that on the other side of the break, but needless to say, I mean, I can sort of answer this. I mean, if it's diseased or it's dying or something like that, then you potentially can get a permit to take the tree down from an arborist with the city. But most of the live oak trees are pretty well protected, and you're not taking them down.
Especially in Tampa.
Especially
downtown Tampa.
Well, I can tell you, even in Clearwater, they don't just hand out permits right away for a live oak. You better show some disease or some cause, or you're not getting one.
Yep, I agree. And often there are some reasons, and sometimes I go out and look at stuff as kind of the counterpoint. I'll say, yes, I think it should be, or no, I think it shouldn't. Anyway, stay with us as the Plant Talk, Real Estate Talk continues right here on AM 860.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com. For everything from questions about cucumbers to homes on cul-de-sacs, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Ask Mr. Green Thumb and Real Estate Show with Stan DeFreitas, the dad, and James DeFreitas, the son. For the next hour, call in with your questions in gardening, growing your favorite veggies, and growing your profits in real estate. Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And a big good morning to you. If you're just waking up as a sleepyhead, we just did the first hour, and now we're doing hour number 2. I know Jan was asking, each city can have their own rules. Mm-hmm. Now, cities and counties, sometimes cities will let a county, kind of overrule or let them be the tree enforcement people. The reason you have rules, in the old days, a lot of developers would come in and just cut everything down. They'd cut every tree down, and they'd put in a few cabbage palms and go, whoopee, we've done it. And that really wasn't too good for, you're taking trees in some cases that are 50, 60, 80, 100, 200 years old and turning them into chips. And that's kind of a waste. And it's nice to have those big tree canopies, especially when it's, 100 degrees out there. All of a sudden, find that tree area or not tree area.
Sure. Well, and I think my advice, too, is that when you're buying say you're going to develop a piece of property, or say you're just a guy that, or a gal that's going to go in and buy a lot. Why not just go ahead and buy the lot and then create your site plan based on what's on the lot rather than cutting everything down in order to try to create your dream within the lot? I mean, I know it's people's prerogative to want to do what they want with their piece of land, but I would say if you can alter a few things here and there and keep some of the protected trees together, why not try to do that if you can? The other thing that I have seen happen in a lot of, especially small cities, I won't name any, Safety Harbor, but one of the things that does happen is a lot of trees that are still healthy wind up, that tree's that got diseased rather quickly. And again, if the tree's diseased or not diseased, that's a big litmus stick there. You want to try to make sure that we really are classifying trees that need to be taken down versus trees that are just, hey, the developer wants them gone, and so therefore they're diseased. I'm not saying that that's occurring ubiquitously throughout everywhere, and even Safety Harbor, I'm sure the guys are caught in a no-win solution where you have people on one side that want the tree protected at all costs, and then the other side where they want it gone no matter what. So you're going to have trouble walking that fine line. But I do know that has been very controversial in many cities throughout Florida. So it's not an enviable position to be in for the local staffed arborist.
Also mention Roger Bansmere out there, my my painting buddy, I should say, tree buddy. He puts a lot of trees.
He paints a lot of trees.
He does a lot of landscapes. Does a great job. Roger, if you want to call in, you can't call in on my line because we're doing the show. But you could call in, Roger, on the 1-877-969-8600, and I'll give that out again. They always taught me that in radio. Make sure you give the numbers out twice, and they were right. 1-877-969-8600. Roger lives up in the area of the old fort. I'm trying to think. St. Augustine.
St. Augustine.
And beautiful. Last time I was up there a few years ago, we went by and saw Roger and his lovely wife, and it was nice. We actually went up in the lighthouse, which he lives near, and if he wants people to know, they'll be going by and saying, "Hey, can we get one of your paintings right from you?" And Roger's pretty good about that too, though. And he's a great artist. I was watching a movie the other day, and they were talking about Bob Ross. What a great artist! And I thought, I liked Bob Ross, and I thought he did some nice art, but I thought he was better at teaching people about this little fluffy clouds.
Yeah, he had very good delivery. I mean, here's what I would say, and here's my opinion about Bob Ross. The likability of the man is off the charts. I mean, that in and of itself, once somebody passes and goes over the Rainbow Bridge, we tend to every year we elevate their status a little more because we really like that person.
He was very likable.
A very likable person. Now, I thought his artistic talent, it was good. It was very good, but we're talking, it was for entertainment. He wasn't making art that was going to be, hung up next to the Mona Lisa. This is art for the masses, is what I would refer to it as. And it's probably worth more now that he's gone, since that's the only way that artists really can appreciate and value, which is sad in and of itself. But So anyway, you were on the Bob Ross topic, and I think
I was just mentioning I was doing a show for PBS back then. Did a show for about 12 years on local, Channel 3, WEDU. I don't guess they refer to themselves as Channel 3 anymore. But WEDU, we did a show there. And back then there was a lot of local shows you had cooking shows, and you had some garden show like mine. And, of course, now today you don't really have that. And I think it's kind of sad. I really thought PBS locally back then did a better job. Now, maybe I'm somewhat biased, and I had such friends with all the crew. We had Brian and Bob and all these guys who were just great people, and gals, too, that were just super folks to work with that turned out our show. And we had a guy, Bill Stoltz, who was my director for many of those years, who was a Dutchman, and he was just funny. He'd go, "Damn good show," and he had been a prisoner of war and down to 78 pounds.
And how big was the guy?
He became bigger afterwards, but Bill was never.
Well, I mean,
huge.
What was his normal weight?
Oh, he probably was 200 pounds before.
Wow.
He got captured during World War II. And
because that's much more impressive when you say, "Hey, my normal weight's 200 pounds, and then I got down to 78 pounds," because then you can see how much it's changed. And I mean, again, it's not to denigrate the crises that we have in this country, and we do, but that's a real problem. I mean, that's not a manufactured crisis. That's a real problem when you're in a concentration camp and dying of starvation. That's a much different thing than what I'm seeing going on today, and I won't go any more political than that.
Yeah, me neither. But I would say I saw something the other day that reminded me just of that, and it was like it had a beautiful little small Japanese girl, and it said, "Do you hold her responsible for what happened?" And obviously, no, you can't hold her responsible. She had nothing to do with what happened in World War II.
Right.
And to me, it kind of goes back to the other. And I won't go into that topic, but no, you can't hold generations responsible for bad decisions that were made.
Right. I mean, you can't hold people responsible for things that happened 200 years ago. There was nobody alive today that is responsible for some of the things that people are upset about.
And to me, if you say that, it's preposterous, in my opinion. And I won't go.
Agree.
I'm not going to go any further on that because I'm sure I'll get people going, "Oh!" Anyway,
So we will move on to a different topic. One of the other things that I was reading about that I thought was interesting, and again, this is not going to be a shock to most people, especially for people out there in the out west. But the world's tallest tree is the redwoods. The Sequoia I don't know how to say this. This is Latin Sequoia sempervirens. I don't know. Probably mispronouncing it. There is a horticulturist out in California, Oregon, wherever these things exist, going, oh my God, why would he even say the Latin if he doesn't know how to say it? My goodness. But anyway, it does grow on the Pacific coast of the United States, mainly in California. Interestingly enough, though, it is not the world's oldest growing tree. That award goes to... does the plant man know? I'll say it. This is, of course, Google saying this, so we don't necessarily know if that's true. The bristlecone pine, that is the oldest growing tree.
That we think of, we know of. I don't know if these things are totally known, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, this particular pine tree, which they can attest to, that they say it's been growing for 1,000 years, so a millennium. So, I mean, they've done some genetic testing to determine that this tree is as old as it is. So, I mean, as far as I know, I can't think of anything that would be much older than that. So that's an interesting factoid. The other thing I have on my list is bamboo. Bamboo, it says, is the fastest growing woody plant in the world.
You can watch it grow, sure.
Yeah, it says it can grow 35 inches in a single day. 35 inches. That's
just, it's there again. It's not putting on a hard, it does have hard outer wood, but it's pushing itself up like a grass member.
So is it more like a grass member?
It is. It's more like a grass member. It's in that monocot group as opposed to a dicot. And that's just the two big divisions in plants. You've got one seed leaf or two. And one would be all the grasses. And I remember asking my old partner one time, I said, which one do you think would be bigger on FLA? And he said, well, it would be the dicots. And I said, and you'd be wrong. It would be the monocots are a bigger family. There again, he and I would sometimes spar over some minor things, and I won't pick on him because he's not here anymore. And he was quite good at so many areas. He was very knowledgeable.
He loved his plumerias.
Oh, he was great with his plumerias and good with many things. And occasionally he and I would spar a little just because, like you, pulling in some information. I would go check out my information and make sure that I was on target.
Well, the difference there being is that I know Google can get it wrong.
And they can, and they do sometimes.
Yeah.
Even the oldest tree, I'm wondering, there's old olive trees that have been around forever and a day that they're not quite so sure. There are old, redwoods, as you say, that have been around for a good long time.
Oh, sure.
So all of them would probably, I bet you could find some of those species that could be 1,000 plus too, in my opinion. But, and to say, we carbon dated and we're positive of this date. I don't know. Yes, we've gotten better, but are we totally there? I have my doubts.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, I mean, each week I'm just going to bring in some interesting factoids that are gardening related, and then we'll see whether or not Mr. GT agrees with said factoids. And I just think it adds a little educational value to the show rather than just pulling stuff out of our hat. And, I mean, it's good that we had a caller call in about the bougainvilleas because that's definitely near and dear to my heart, too, since I planted so many of them.
Yeah, you were the bougainvillea kid.
I had no idea, though, that they were that, what's the word?
Aggressive?
I had no idea they were that aggressive. I mean,
they are.
I mean, talk about a plant you can cut down. My neighbor hates bougainvilleas. He cut his down to about 8 inches above the ground, and it came back.
Oh, of course. So, you still got that big root system.
We're going to pay some bills. 813-289-1860. If you want to give us a call, we are here for any gardening and or real estate questions. Please join us after the break.
Stay with us as the Plant Talk and Real Estate Talk continues.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com. Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Got questions on gardening, real estate, or both? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And we're here to answer your questions. Occasionally, I've been calling some of the top realtors of Tampa Bay. If I haven't talked to you, well, doesn't mean you're not the top. It just means that I haven't talked to you yet. We've been calling a number of people saying, hey, if you're, the top. I talked to one agent, to Gert last week, and his son of Gert was supposed to call us today. So we'll see if son of Gert remembers and calls in. The line there locally would be 813-289-1860. But we do try to let agents call in sometimes, give a little, they can call in with a question about plants, of course, but they could also call in maybe and talk about their favorite listing. We're trying to help, we help the industry. We look at it as we help you, we help other realtors, then we're helping push the cart or the car in, the direction of helping everybody. And that's kind of where James and I are from. And that's what we try to do. So if you want to give us a call, and Roger, if you want to give us a call, it's 1-877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860 locally. But we will answer your questions, and we'll make sure that we get to them. Also, I was mentioning, I talked to Gert last week. I said, son of Gert was supposed to call in today, and maybe he is
Might have slept in a little bit, but that can happen too. So maybe he'll give us a call next week, and we'll definitely put him on the air, and we'll talk a little bit about their brokerage next week. But, speaking of real estate, we do want to mention again, there's going to be our final open house is going to occur today from 1 to 3. Go out and talk to Pam Davison. She is a wonderful, wonderful real estate agent. You'll absolutely love her. And the property is at 3886 Crescent Cove Place. That's 3886 Crescent Cove Place in Tarpon Springs, Florida. It's a beautiful home. It's 6 bedrooms. 6 bedrooms. It's over 4,000 square feet. It's got beautiful hardwood engineered floors inside, and it's got ceramic tile roof. It's gorgeous. You're going to want to go take a look at it. You're going to want this property. If you want to come to an auction, the auction will be not this Saturday, obviously, because that's gone by. So this coming Saturday will be on the 12th, September the 12th at 1 p.m. Again, registration starts an hour before that, so that'll be at noon. It doesn't take that long to register, but it does take a good 15 minutes to look through some of the paperwork there to get it done. All we're requiring is a photo ID, and you have to be able to put a 5% deposit down on the property. The deposit, of course, is non-refundable. It has to have a little teeth so that you know that you're serious about purchasing the property. So again, 1 to 3 p.m. today, Pam, Crescent Cove Place. You're going to want to go take a look at it.
I agree. So come on out and go see the property, and you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's something fun to do on this holiday weekend. So might as well go ahead and get out there and do it and take a look at a property. I will say this. Most of the homes in Pinellas County in particular, they're selling fast. The idea that you have any bartering in the process, the people that are trying to barter are losing the homes because they're not thinking about that their second and third and fourth contracts being put on the property as backups. So I would say, it's good to have an inspection done, but right now for most of the properties, the inspections, are just to inform you as to what you'll need to do after you close on the property.
You snooze, you lose.
Yeah, the inspections are not going to be a sticking point really for most properties in Pinellas anymore. They're not going to be that. Now I can go back and try to negotiate a little bit better price with the seller because the seller's got multiple offers in hand, and goes back to that whole supply and demand problem. And for buyers right now, you better be putting in the full price offer or more, and then you better be willing to take everything as it is. And the first time you put up a stipulation that you want to negotiate, most of the time the sellers are going to say, I don't have to. And if they don't have to, they don't have to. So you just have to accept that.
Yeah, it's pretty much the if you want to get it, put the offer in and maybe be prepared to put an offer in that's above asking price if you want to make sure you get it. And I think that's a mindset for a lot of people. It's hard to, the folks that always got to get the 50 cents on the dollar.
Sure. Yeah, those days are gone, right? At least for now. For now, they're gone. And I mean, and if you don't have to take my word for it either. Go on Facebook. You've got at least a half a dozen friends on Facebook that are real estate agents. I know you do, because everyone does. And I will say this. Usually what you're seeing on there is, another one, I got another contract. I got another contract on this property, and it's selling. They're selling like hotcakes, folks. So.
The average about 9 days, right?
Yeah. Well, that was a week or so ago. It might have gone up or down at that point, but I assume it's probably gone down. We are here. If you want to join us, so give us a call, 813-289-1860. If you have any gardening and or plant questions and or real estate questions, we are here.
1-877-969-8600 is the toll-free line. Will put you on with us as well.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com. Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial problems with flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And a big good morning to you as we continue our show. And we have Matthieu who's with us. Matthieu, good morning.
And again, apologize for our mispronunciation. It might be Ma2, I think is the proper way to say that.
It could be. I'm sorry, Matthieu. Matthieu, tell me how to pronounce it correctly.
Let's bring in Matthieu. Is he still on the line?
Should be with us. And he's going to check. We've got in master control.
Our board op is double checking to make sure that Matthieu, that we can bring him in.
We got Bill coming up after that, who's one of our old buddies at Berkshire Hathaway. But we're going to make sure that we have them. I know that we have everybody working in master control.
Hello?
Hey, is this Matthieu?
Yes, it is.
Hey, thank you so much for calling in. We definitely are we pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, it's Ma2. But the real name is Matthieu, but no one can really say it correctly here, so I just tell people to call me Ma2.
Gotcha.
And you are Flemish by your father, right?
Yeah, that's right. We're from Belgium. Yeah,
Belgium.
Born and raised.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well,
Correct.
that means that you can speak French and German.
French, Flemish, Dutch, and English, yep.
Okay. Yeah, I got a buddy of mine who, his name is Anthony Stinsman. He was raised in Belgium, and so he...
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so he definitely has educated me on a lot of things that go on in Belgium, and of course, soccer being one of the most important pastimes ever.
Yeah.
Every time when we could travel, he was always going over there, and I'd see him. He'd have his shirt off and doing his shirt in the air at a soccer match, and he was taking it extremely seriously, which was cool to see.
Of course, he also did it on a tennis court too.
Of course, yeah.
Well, yes, and I'm hoping he's holding a Belgian beer in his hand while he's doing it.
Always.
Yeah, you must know Anthony then, because I think he has it an intravenous hookup.
So he's real Belgian, so that's good.
Yeah. So tell us now, and again, I don't want to mispronounce your real estate company. Is it Benoot Realty?
Yep. Benoot Realty, yep.
Benoot?
We're right here in downtown St. Pete.
Yeah, and if memory serves me correctly, you guys are right there on, what is that, Beach Drive? or
Beach Drive, yep.
Right there
by the, yep.
You're right there on Beach Drive, and again, our old stomping grounds was right there next to probably your competition, which was Berkshire Hathaway. We used to be next to them, or at least we were part of them. Yeah, we were part of them, and that is just a beautiful location. And one of the things I was telling Stan is, given that we're over at Remax Metro, there is no reason in the world that we should definitely do lunch sometime. Check,
I agree.
You're a stone's throw away. It makes no sense for us not to hook up in that regard.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your real estate company.
Yeah. So we opened this location here in downtown St. Pete in 2003. We've been in business. I mean, I'm the fifth generation in real estate.
Wow.
So
real estate is just something I grew up with. It's just something that's been in our family for a very long time. So we opened up the U.S. location here in 2003. My father's been in the business, my grandfather, and so on and so forth. We still have an office in Belgium as well.
Wow.
So we do a lot of international transactions. Yeah, so that's kind of a family-owned and operated. My dad and I run the place. We have several agents that specialize in every type of real estate across the board.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a little bit about us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And being multilingual, too, that is another aspect. I'm very envious because there are many times where I'll run into potential buyers and sellers. And if I only had a better grasp of their original language, I know I would make the transaction that much more seamless for them. And
yes, and being in downtown, it's very international. There's just people there from all over the world. Everybody's from a different place, so it's really neat to meet these people from different places of the world, and everybody needs real estate, no matter who you are.
Yeah, I mean, and right now, I mean, and I can certainly say from the RE/MAX Metro agents, I mean, every time I turn around, I mean, it's like, wow, they took on another listing, they sold it in 25 minutes. I mean, it's just this market, it is so hot. The only thing I will say that's a negative about it is that some of the newer agents, I think that why did I get involved in real estate years ago? And I'm thinking, well, I know that they're thinking that, and I keep thinking to myself, this isn't sustainable. I hope you guys know that.
2007, 2008.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And that, for us, that was we became short sale experts.
Yeah, we did.
That was an interesting time.
It was.
I mean, I don't suspect that's where we're headed. But again, I don't have a crystal ball, and nobody does. But I do know that the one thing that I will put out there is that we are still deficit spending. And so that is something that I don't think we can do that forever. I think that there are some ramifications that will come along from doing that. But is there a listing or a property or something that you guys are selling right now that you wanted to let people know about?
Yeah, we're so we sell all throughout Pinellas, part of Hillsborough, even part of Pasco County. But we specialize in condos and single family, especially in downtown. We do a lot of stuff in downtown right now. We just put a nice listing under contract in Bayfront Tower.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, that's a great building. We just put a nice unit under contract there, and I'm getting ready to list another unit in that building. It's amazing to see what's happening in the market and what people are willing to do to get what they want. How the creative ways that they're putting in offers and how they're going above asking, and that's no longer. It used to be if you go above asking, you would pretty much get the property. But now people even get more creative. They write letters to the sellers.
Wow.
I put a unit in Bayfront under contract last week, and then I got a call from an agent, and somebody wants to still see the property, put up a backup offer on the property because there's nothing else available.
Right.
There's no more inventory. And that's the key right now.
That's the key. Yeah, I mean, I keep telling people right now what we're dealing with is a supply and demand issue. We have tons of demand and very little supply, and so that's just that's going to make the buyers have to. They're going to have to learn how to juggle. They're going to have to juggle and be on a unicycle if they want to get the property. And it's a very interesting time in that regard. And I honestly. And again, I think some people didn't know how to take me, but I put on my Facebook page the other day that that I had acknowledged all of the effort that is taking place right now with the real estate agents, the early mornings, the late nights, the extra contracts, the closings, the sheer determination to serve their clients right now is it's amazing the effort that agents are going to, and they're knocking it out of the park. And it sounds like you guys are doing the same. And I just hats off to you for the service you guys are providing and making the customers smile and have a great experience.
Tell us a little bit about that condo. What's the price? Tell me a little bit about the size.
So the condo is Unit 1701 in Bayfront Tower.
Okay.
Is that unit? It's for $765 we put it under contract for $785, and the unit is 1,228 square feet. It's got an incredible water view. You're looking at the pier. You're looking at Beach Drive. It's just gorgeous. And we're getting ready to list another one in there. It's going to be unit 1409. That's going to have a nice city view where you're going to be looking down Central. That one we're going to be listing for $675. So all these units, the units in Bayfront Tower I'm talking to you about, these units have been fully renovated from the electrical to the plumbing to the appliances, the flooring. Everything is new, top to bottom.
Very nice.
The seller redid everything, even the ductwork.
Wow. So if somebody is listening right now and they want to get a hold of you, how would they do so?
You can call my cell phone, which is 727-686-0639. Again, 727-686-0639. Or you can email us at info@benootrrealty.com.
Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah, because one of the things that I'm seeing out there is I'm just seeing stuff move off the shelf so quickly. It's the agents barely have time to get the property listed before all of a sudden something's happening. The amount of deals that are also happening, pocket listings. My goodness, agents are dealing with other agents, and it's like, man, that didn't even go up on MLS. It's gone before you know it. And a lot of times I'm seeing people do that too, where they're does anybody know about a listing? So we're kind of in that territory where if there's a whisper of a listing, then that's almost good enough.
Absolutely, and I've also noticed a lot of times the units sell within their own building. People are just staying within the building, moving from unit to unit, and they're selling before they're even, like you said, before they're even hitting the market.
Sure.
So it's important that you're involved with an agent that's submerged in the business, that has these pocket listings and has access to these pocket listings.
Absolutely, and someone like yourself that's experienced in selling that particular property in that particular building. And again, when we made the move from Berkshire Hathaway to Remax Metro, it was a little bit of a shock for me because I hadn't really spent much time down in St. Pete, in downtown St. Pete, in many years. And so when we went down there, I was sort of shocked by all the high-rises. I haven't been down there in forever.
Talk about a hot neighborhood.
Yeah, it's just a hot neighborhood. Very. I hate to use the word trendy because I don't mean to say it in a negative way, but it's become an extremely trendy area to be. It seems to be a hot area, and you guys seem like you're just right where you need to be, right there. So you guys are positioned great in a great spot.
Well, why don't you give us the phone number one more time, and then we need to get to Bill, too.
Yeah, absolutely. My cell phone number is 727-686-0639.
Awesome. That sounds great. And Matthieu, we can't wait to do lunch with you sometime, so I'll definitely be reaching out to you probably sometime this next week and seeing what your schedule's like. But thank you so much, Matthieu, for calling in and telling us about Benoot Realty.
Yeah, that was great.
It sounds like a wonderful company to deal with, and thanks so much for calling in.
Thank you. We're going to mention the numbers are 1-877-969-8600 or 813 locally 289-1860 to be on the air with us. And, of course, the plant talk and real estate talk will continue, right?
Yep.
So stay with us, and we're going to get to Bill just the other side of the break here and make sure he's there.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com. Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at askmrgreenthumb.com. Got questions on gardening, real estate, or both? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And we're here to help you with your plant and garden problems along with real estate. We've got Bill, who's been holding with us for a few minutes, and Bill is one of our old friends from Berkshire Hathaway. Bill, good morning.
Good morning.
Glad you're with us. And, of course, we wanted to make sure we could get to you. And, Bill, I know you're one of the top agents with Berkshire Hathaway. Why don't you tell us about maybe one of the listings you have or maybe a funny story relating to real estate?
Well, funny stories. I don't know if I can tell you one of those. I can get away with it. So I'll stick with the listing.
Okay.
I've got a place in Point Brittany. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, completely remodeled, kitchen and bathroom also. It's got new windows and a balcony, and it overlooks the Boca Ciega Bay for $319,000.
Sounds like a deal.
Also has underground parking.
Oh, underground parking. That's nice. Everybody seems to parking. I've always been amazed how people really focus on parking. And
oh yeah, parking makes a huge difference, especially if you've got a black car sitting out in the sun all summer.
That's true. I mean, you go out and put your hand on a black car or even the white car, and the black car will cook the egg a whole lot quicker. And I know because James has a black car, and I don't. I have a white car, and partly just because. Well, I think, the black shows dirt, too, so they both do. You have to take them in and have them, through the car wash. But so that sounds like a really nice listing. It has what kind of flooring? What kind of sounds like you've got a beautiful view there.
Oh, a panoramic view. You can see the Sunshine Skyway. You can watch the cruise ships go through there. So it's really, really nice. Flooring, it's got tile floors throughout in the kitchen, in the bathrooms, and in the living room. Both bedrooms are carpeted. Got 2 walk-in closets, 1 in each bedroom. So it's very, and it actually comes all furnished too.
Wow, comes all furnished. That sounds like a heck of a deal. And if people want to get a hold of you, what's your phone number?
813-546-6756.
I'll have you give it one more time. They always tell you that in radio when you first started in the business. They said, make sure you get the numbers out twice. So go ahead and give the number again.
Right.
It's
813-546-6756.
Uh-huh. And do you have any other properties right now, or is that the main one you're pushing?
Oh, no, I've got several properties. I have another one that one that I just mentioned is about 1,140 square feet. I have another one in actually the same building I live in the 5200 building of Point Brittany. And it's 1,700 square feet. It's on the 17th floor. So a view is just, you can't even imagine how great that view is.
I can imagine.
That one now. Oh, you can actually see all the way into downtown Bradenton.
Wow. That's on a clear day. Yeah.
Oh, a clear day with your telescope.
That's great. Well, that sounds beautiful. Yeah, I've been in some of those where you're up there and you're going, gosh, this is just, it's like you're in heaven. You look out and you can see, water, and across the way you say, that's just a beautiful, beautiful view.
Oh, yeah, it is. And the Point Brittany has a lot of amenities most people don't realize. I mean, they've got kayak storage, they got a clubhouse, they got it just goes on and on. They got everything from ceramics to painting to whatever you could want to do, and it's all free. It's all included in the HOA fee.
That's nice. Well, that's an advantage. That, when you start thinking about being, retired, it's you got to have some hobbies or something to do. I think. I mean, you can read.
Oh, sure.
And it's nice to have those activities.
Now, another thing that really is a big plus for Point Brittany is they've got boat storage. I had a boat here for 10 years, never had to move it once. It's based on first come, first out. So I've had mine here. I had one here for 10 years, never had to move it once until I sold the boat. So
that's fantastic.
I mean, and the boat storage is dirt cheap. I mean, I think it's $3 a foot now, or something to come with water and electric. So
wow, that's really cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can. Yeah. They pay for 1/3 of the condo.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So now, where is this located again?
Right off of Pinellas Bayway Drive, just, between the toll bridge and the Don Cesar.
Oh, okay. That's a beautiful location.
Actually, I can look out my window and I see the Don Cesar one way. I look out the other way, I see the Sunshine Skyway. So
you are blessed either way.
View.
Either way, you're blessed. That is fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful place. I mean, I didn't live anywhere, just about. So it's. I looked at downtown St. Pete and considered that down there, and I thought the streets were a little crowded for me. So.
Yeah, that's become in the last 20 years. I mean, it's like a major metropolis,
Yeah, I did have. Yeah, I had one guy that I sold his place in down. It actually was 2 blocks from Beach Boulevard downtown. And I said, well, why do you want to sell this? He says, Bill, I can't take the traffic anymore. He says, every time they got a race or something going on, it's 3 hours for me to go 2 blocks. You know?
Yeah.
And so I sold him a place in Point Brittany.
There you go. Yeah. So again, I mean, that's one of the things that I think really separates, some of the agents out there that are, maybe not as familiar with certain parts of our community, but being able to identify with what a client needs and then what's best for them long term. And it sounds like you really know how to do that, to be able to ask the questions to identify with what the client really wants and then getting them what they need. So. Sounds
like you've specialized in an area too, even, and that's nice too, that you know it inside and out because you live there. But,
yeah, sure. Yeah, I was president of one of the buildings here. I've lived here for 15 years now, so and it is a 55-plus community. I did come in long before I was 55, just in case you're doing the numbers.
Well, Bill, we appreciate that. Why don't you give your phone number out one more time because we're just about out of time here.
All right, 813-546-6756.
Bill, thanks for being with us, and we hope that you enjoyed it, and we hope other agents will know that they can also be with us. Let's mention the open house that we have.
Sure. We have an open house today that's going to go on from 1 to 3 p.m. You can definitely go out there, and you can meet with Pam Davison. She is the originating agent on our property at 3886 Crescent Cove Place, Tarpon Springs, Florida. So that's 3886 Crescent Cove Place, Tarpon Springs, Florida, from 1 to 3 p.m. today. Come on, what are you going to do? You've already done the church aspect of your day. You've already had lunch. Go out there and go look at a beautiful piece of property.
And tell Pam that we sent you.
That's right.
And if you want to be there for next Saturday for our big auction, we'd like you to pre-register.
Pre-register. Yeah. Next, it'll be on the 12th. So that's September the 12th at 1 p.m. We'll be doing the auction, and we tell everybody to get there an hour before so you can fill out the paperwork.
Make sure you enjoy the day, and we want to make sure that you stay with us as always. We'll be back next weekend. Stay with us.